Hi, today I'm on Birker Fell between Eskdale and the Duddon Valley. I'm parked beside a crossroads. If I follow the road in that direction, I'll go past Stanley Gill waterfalls and emerge in Dalegarth, terminus of the Ravenglass and Eskdale Railway. Instead, I'm going the other way. It takes me past Devoke Water and in theory down to the main A595 road close to the village of Wainwright. Although you'll note that that's not what the sign says. I'm actually going to investigate the hidden history of Devoke Water, and at the start the track is easy enough to follow. Although when it reaches the lake, the exact route through the bog is anyone's guess. Luckily, I have a spare lens in my bag. Cue the map. So, why exactly am I here? Well, being a fell walker, you might think it is to do Wainwright's walk onto the fells that surround the lake. There's White Pike, Yode Castle, and Wood End Height on the south side of the lake, with Rough Crag and Water Crag on the north side. Plus, sitting proudly behind the boathouse is Seat Howe. It's a good walk with some stunning views, but that is not why I'm here. There are a couple of other things I'm keen to see, so I'm going for a walk around the shore of the lake. Although I might just detour to take in the views from Water Crag and Rough Crag. They're well worth the effort. The first item of interest is this old boathouse, the ruined stable building immediately behind it. It was designed not only to house a boat, but also to serve as a shelter. The upper floor even had a fireplace. Firewood was gathered from a small island in the lake. Peat could also be dug from the moss just yards from the doorstep, and heather was also used. It must have been a very fragrant fire, perfect for keeping warm overnight, as well as smoking trout caught in the lake. A few yards away is this miniature cave, perfect for use as a latrine. It seems to be the perfect setup for a gentleman's fishing weekend, but all was not well.
The thing is, there was something of a dispute about fishing rights on the lake. The Stanley family of Dalegarth Hall, who owned the lake and therefore, in theory, owned the fishing rights, it reserved the right to fish on there and preserve fish stocks and so on. This was disputed by the lady of the manor of Ulfa, because she claimed that the south shore of the lake was her property, and so therefore people from Ulfa could fish on the south shore of the lake. Undeterred by the protests, the Stanley family continued to protect the lake and the fish stocks, particularly during the spawning season. They actually had walls built on the streams that run into the south side of the lake to stop the spawning fish going up the streams and being caught by people from Ulfa. And the bailiff, a chap called Henry Hartley, would come along and break the rods of anybody he found fishing by the lake who he didn't actually recognise and know, regardless of whether they came from Ulfa or not. So there was a lot of bad blood in this area with regard to fishing, and it went to court in 1793 and at Carlisle Assizes, and the Stanley family were very, very surprised because they thought they had a really, really strong case, but they lost.
Unhappy at the outcome, George Stanley, the lord of the manor, set about overturning the decision. He took his appeal to the higher court of the King's Bench, and after presenting evidence of skullduggery on the part of his rivals, won the case. Although the Stanley family still own Dalegarth Hall, they no longer control fishing rights to the lake. That honour belongs to Milham Anglers Association, who continue to keep the lake well stocked with brown trout. Beyond the boathouse, the bridleway follows the south shore, although the actual route it takes is open to question. There's no real sign of it on the ground. The views may be lovely, but the boggy terrain kind of slows progress. Frankly, it's a bit of a plod. A mile of picking through the bog later, and I'm on the western edge of the fell. Nowadays it's a lonely place. Even at the height of the summer, there's plenty of peace and solitude to be found in this corner of Lakeland. But it wasn't always the case. 3,000 years ago, there was a Bronze Age settlement here. Back then, much of this land was forested. The settlers cleared the area close to the lake to plant crops. They left behind 140 stone cairns of various shapes and sizes. The largest appears to be more modern, and nowadays acts as a wind shelter. If you come here and fancy sitting in the middle to eat your sandwiches, bear in mind it is actually a funerary cairn. It is where the settlers laid out their dead. Beside the settlement is Limbeck Gill, the lake's only outflow. It cascades through a narrow gorge to join the River Esk in the valley below. I'm assuming that those Bronze Age settlers will have built some kind of bridge over the beck, although with the water level low I didn't need one today. Right, back along the north shore, although it's a tad boggy, and those fells do look tempting. About time I went up in the world, I think. Hello? I think I'm being watched. It may only be a short climb, but the weather has cleared nicely. The air is really clear, and I've got stunning views all around. When you consider that Water Crag is under 1,000 feet high, the mountain panorama is truly impressive.
You know, when you look at it, down at the boathouse end, this landscape seems to be a bit bleak, but actually when you come up here and you're on Water Crag, it takes on a different impression. Stunning scenery all around. And when you look around here, you can see the remains of the Iron Age settlement everywhere. I mean, there's remains of it down over yonder, there's remains of it down in front between here and the lake. It's wonderful. They really, really were clever people. They managed to live here for something like 500 years. And I mean, that's remarkable. When you think about it, we tend to think of ourselves as being modern and advanced. But I tell you what, if I came over here and had to live off the land with nothing to help me whatsoever, I'd be stuck. I wouldn't survive. And yet these people came along, they had no modern technology whatsoever, and they survived for 500 years out of this landscape. They made it work for them. It's brilliant.
Time to head back to my car and the modern world, enjoying the views as I go. It's a short stroll across the fell to Rough Crag, and thankfully this path isn't boggy underfoot. In fact, it's an absolute delight. And the amazing thing is that there's no one else around. It's just me and the sheep. The last port of call is the top of Rough Crag, 1,049 feet above sea level, and somewhere I think I'll sit and stay a while and drink in the stunning views all around.